to Crime in Court. My name is Heather, and this is episode number 60 in my Canton Cover-Up series, Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. We also talk about Aiden, Turtle Boy Carney, and Canton residents as well. So tonight, we're going to discuss some disgraced troopers, some drunk texting, some passionate Canton residents, and maybe more. So let's get into it. Up first, I want to talk about it's been about a week since I've done a Karen Reed update, even though there has been tons of information and things flying back and forth. If you follow the Twitterverse and um, what people are saying and doing regarding this case. So I'm just going to bring you some of the main things that have come up since my last video. So up first, I want to go over the fact that two, maybe three individuals have now also been put under internal investigations with the Mass State Police. So let's dive into this. Please hit that like button before I forget. It helps the algorithm, it helps push this video out to other people, so it helps support my channel and it helps YouTube know videos, topics that you like. So up first, we're going to talk about, this is a Boston Globe article I'm going to read. It's about a pair of Massachusetts state troopers who testified at Karen Reed trial, now under internal investigation, by Danny McDonald. So that was a picture of Karen Reed waiting for the jury. All right, so two Massachusetts state police troopers who testified during the Karen Reed trial are the subjects of an internal affairs probe. Originally, when this announcement came out, there were three troopers, and it'll explain more as we go on. All right, so the troopers are Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully and Sergeant Yuri Buchanan. So Tully and Buchanan are both superiors to Michael Proctor, who has now been suspended without pay from MSP. So Brian Tully is the lieutenant. So he is head of both Sergeant Buchanan and Proctor. So he's like in the hierarchy. It's Brian Tully, Sergeant Yuri Buchanan, and then Michael Proctor. So those his two immediate superiors are now under investigation by the Mass State Police. So that actually does say something, and I think that they really had to because of the pressure of this case and the worldwide no, notoriety that it's getting. All right, so Tully and Buchanan took the stand last month in the Reed trial, which has already drawn intense scrutiny of state police's handling of the matter. The troopers are still on full duty, so they're still working, still getting paid. They're just being investigated right now, which I think they should be at least suspended, if not suspended without pay. But I know there's a process. There is a union that they have to go through, so it's a progression. So just being under internal investigation is step one. Step two would probably be to suspend them with or without pay or whatever, however they go about it, whatever comes up in their investigation. All right, so the troopers are on full duty. State police did not offer additional details. This was last week, citing the pending internal investigation. The agency had initially said last Tuesday that Lieutenant John Fanning was under internal investigation. And we talk about John Fanning in my Sandra Birchmore series. He is the lieutenant in charge of that investigation, and there's some really shady things that are some shady rumors and things about John Fanning, and basically that he is just a violent S offender. Can't say that word, but he's a predator, and he forces people to serve his needs, we'll say, under gunpoint. and by gunpoint, he asks them to do things. So, yeah, he's a violent predator, according to some sources. I'm kind of looking a little more into him right now. So, anyways, the agency had initially said last week that Lieutenant John Fanning was under internal investigation, but later clarified that a probe determined that there was insufficient evidence to prove or disprove the allegation that Trooper Fanning violated rules and regulations by failing to uphold the responsibilities of a supervisory member, which is like a what the F moment because he's a supervisor and he was on those derogatory text messages and maybe even potentially liked something or was a participant in those um, alleged text messages and whatnots. So he violated the rules, or they cannot prove or disprove that he violated the rules of his supervisory role, which I think is BS. And he is, like I said, he's related to the Sandra Birchmore investigation and the Explorer Youth Program and the alleged grooming that was going on with the young children, including Sandra Birchmore, who they started grooming at the age of 15. Not Fanning necessarily, but he may have been one of the individuals that might have, who knows. Devine and Robert Devine and William and Matthew Farwell are the ones that are alleged to be with Sandra Birchmore. If you don't know Sandra Birchmore, she was a young girl, 23 years old, who they found um, no longer alive in her apartment with a strap around her neck tied to a closet door. They originally said or determined that it was by her own hands, but after another um, independent forensic pathologist review of her autopsy and the evidence, they declared that it was a homicide and not done by her own hands. So this investigation is still open. I mean, they could still people could still do some time for this, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so time will tell, and hopefully the FBI has a lot garnered on this. But anyways, so for the Karen Reed involvement, they're saying, at least the MSP is saying, that there's no way to prove or disprove that he did anything wrong, which I think is stupid because he was on those texts, but whatever. All right, so as a result, the allegation was classified as unfounded. You know who we also need to know was DeCicco. I can't remember his first name, but DeCicco, he was also talking with Proctor about getting a homicide determination for John O'Keefe, Officer John O'Keefe, because um, they were both trying to talk about coercing the medical examiner to get a determination of homicide so that they could charge somebody for the crime, even though it wasn't a crime. But anyways, all right. So, or at least it wasn't the crime that they were talking about in John O'Keefe's case. Never mind. Okay. So the State Police Association of Massachusetts declined to comment, citing the pending investigation. So MSP Association wants nothing to do with any of this bad press because it makes them look bad. It makes cops look bad, and cops want to defend and stick with their cop buddies, no matter how wrong their cop buddies may be. So Tully, Buchanan, and Fanning are all also linked to the witness intimidation case against blogger Aidan Carney, that's Turtle Boy. Tully wrote the police report that led to Carney's arrest on charges of harassing state witnesses in the Reed case, and all those state witnesses turned out to be very, very, very suspicious on the stand. Just saying. So as a part of that investigation, Buchanan and Fanning interviewed an Avon police dispatcher who ran license plate numbers on Carney's behalf, according to Tully's report. and they're trying to charge her too. The woman who ran the plates for um, Aiden. That whole thing is in regards to people were sending pictures to Turtle Boy about a white Jeep parked in front of Michael Proctor's house, and we all knew that Jen McCabe had a white Jeep, so he was posting about it, and somebody on their own accord decided they were going to look up the plate number, and then they confirmed with Turtle Boy this is Jen McCabe's car. So that right there, they're saying is part of witness intimidation. They're trying to also get this woman who looked up the license plate. They've charged her, but they've never arraigned her or something. She's also in that same like limbo area where all the Canton 9 people are, which if you're not familiar with that, I have a whole video on that where there were 9 protesters and police just showed up on them and said, you're breaking the law, you're intimidating a witness because they were in the vicinity of Chris Albert's pizza shop. So there's just a whole bunch of shady stuff going on. All right, so earlier that week, last week, Reed, 44 of Mansfield, learned that she can expect to stand trial again in January on charges related to the loss of Officer John O'Keefe's life, her boyfriend. The conduct of Massachusetts State Police in the case has already come under intense criticism as the primary investigator, Trooper Michael Proctor, was suspended without pay earlier this month. Previously, Proctor was relieved of his duties as a detective in Norfolk District Attorney Michael Morrissey's office after his crude and demeaning text messages about Reed came to light at her trial. A Superior Court judge declared a mistrial on January 1st as jurors said they remained deadlocked following several days of deliberations. Reed's trial had lasted more than 2 months and driven by dueling narratives over the loss of Officer O'Keefe and allegations of a wide-ranging cover-up by police. The proceedings attracted intense local and national media coverage, as well as dozens of pink-clad Reed supporters demonstrating outside the Dedham courthouse every day. So that's a quick little update about what's going on with some of the other officers involved that might be looked at. We're going to move on now to a text or a tweet or a whatever you call it on X nowadays from Christina Rex. She is with, what is she? She's a WBZ TV reporter, which is local to the Canton area, Boston area. So it says, new, the same juror with whom I've already spoken from the Karen Reed trial tells me they reached out to both the Commonwealth and the defense team expressing a willingness to talk about the trial. So this individual reached out to Christina Rex earlier and they said we were only deadlocked on count number 2. We were all without a doubt unanimous on no guilty for counts 1 and 3. So that's what this juror said. In a previous text, she tweeted that out. So now Christina Rex is saying that this juror reached out to her again, and they are claiming that they have reached out to both the Commonwealth and the defense. Here's what they say. The juror says they have only received responses from the defense, despite multiple calls and voicemails to the Norfolk County DA's office. They've been calling the DA's office, trying to connect with them, trying to get them to realize, like, hey, we were not hung on all the charges. We didn't know that we could give a partial verdict. So, and you didn't ask us, you just dismissed us right away. So what's up with that? If you by now aren't realizing how corrupt Norfolk District is in Massachusetts, I don't know what to tell you because I believe Judge Cannoni's in on it too with the way that she dismissed them and all that. Anyways, all right. So Olivia Lambo, she always is posting great stuff on Twitter too. She says that this totally negates their whole um, argument, the Commonwealth's argument that the claims of the jurors are unsubstantiated but sensational post trial claims. That's what they say in here. The defendant's unsubstantiated but sensational post trial claims that the jury reached a unanimous decision to acquit lacks any merit or legal foundation. Well, it's got merit now, and proof that the Commonwealth is trying to cover it up because they're saying, "Well, we've gone out to the media now because the Commonwealth isn't getting back to us. So now we're reaching out to the media. You guys need to put this out there and let the world know that Norfolk District Attorney's Office isn't reaching us back." So take that what you will. That is the latest on the juror fiasco, the verdict fiasco. Up next, I wanted to bring to your attention this interesting article from Howie Carr. It's was just released prior to the weekend, so it was just getting out there, and I was reading it this weekend, so I thought it would be good to include in my video here. It's called Trooper Proctor's Epic Canton Collapse. You're Michael Proctor, and you knew the rules in Norfolk County. Never ever arrest anybody with any dough, especially if they come from Marina Bay. Whatever that all means, I'm sure locals understand that. No, I get it. I get it. He messed with the wrong girl. That's what that means. That's obviously a picture of Proctor. All right, so this is kind of a cheeky, funny article. Howie Carr's local radio guy there. I think he blogs, he writes all this stuff. He has a radio show. Turtle Boy's been on it several times. Shauna the Golf has been on it. So here we go. This is Howie Carr's latest article about the Karen Reed case, anyways. So you're Michael Proctor, just another corrupt conehead cop from Canton, and you're wondering why you, and so far only you, have been singled out to be the patsy, the fall guy in the failed Karen Reed frame up. It's a good question, right? I mean, why is he the one taking the fall? I mean, at least now Tully and Buchanan are being looked at, but they're still on full duty. So they're still wreaking their corrupt havoc while they're being investigated. So take that. I mean, we need to not only get these people out of their positions, but also put them behind bars for any crimes that they may have committed, especially Proctor. All right, so of all the jammed up Keystone cops in Norfolk County, how come you're the only one that's not getting paid? You weren't even at the house, the crime scene, at 34 Fairview Road that morning. You just tried to do your fellow cop thugs a solid by looking the other way, and this is what happens to you. Suspended without pay. Your Michael Proctor and your bent bosses in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office are both under investigation by the Internal Affairs Unit of the Mass State Police. But they're still happily slurping at the trough. Exactly. They might even be under investigation, but they're still working and they're still getting paid. The DA they work for, Meatball Morrissey, even just got a pay raise from $191,000 a year to $223,000 a year to put on sham trials like the Karen Reed trial and to be corrupt and put people away for no reason. You're Michael Proctor, and when you got knee walking drunk with fat Canton PD detective Kevin Albert and drove around bleep faced in your MSP cruiser, it wasn't you who lost his gun and badge, it was Kevin Albert. So now Kevin Albert is suspended, but he's still getting paid $176,000 last year. In Canton, they don't even call it a suspension. It's, quote, paid administrative leave. Keyword, paid. Then there's Kevin Albert's brother, thug Boston cop Brian Albert, on whose front lawn the body was found. Proctor gave Brian Albert a good leaving alone, didn't even go inside his house, misspelled everybody's names in the reports, didn't inquire about their missing vicious dog, refused to interview any witness who might dispute the narrative, all to cover for Albert and all the rest of the McAlberts. Even Howie Carr uses McAlberts. I love it. Brian was allowed to retire from the BPD, Boston PD, and is now pocketing a kiss in the mail of $101,000, almost $102,000 per year. Then there's Brian Higgins, the drunkard ATF agent, so shady he had to testify at the trial with his criminal lawyer standing beside him. Like the other Brian, Higgins destroyed his cell phone the day before the court issued a preservation order, which is extremely shady and very telling that someone's tipping him off. Higgins is writing the pine at ATF, but he's still getting paid. So he's sitting at a desk, but he's still getting paid. You're Michael Proctor, and as a trained sleuth, you begin to notice a pattern here. You've been set up, railroaded, hung out to dry like you're Karen Bleepin' Reed or something. I like that line. Now you're sweltering in your crappy little ranch house in Canton. Your dumpy wife, Lizzie, is giving you the evil eye because the money's running out, and even Jill Daniels and her elderly boyfriend are still flush enough to be guzzling doubles down in Falmouth, singing their favorite Elton John song, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. And that is a reference to Jill Daniels and her boyfriend getting into a confrontation, an altercation with the owners of a bar called Shipwrecked in Falmouth. And the result of that is Jill Daniels and I'm sure her boyfriend are banned both for life from this bar. She's not allowed to go there. So Gardney, in Garney, has posted himself there going, I'm safe. I'm checked safe from Jill or whatever, marked safe. All right, so you're Michael Proctor, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, like you've just had 2 slices of mushroom pizza from Jailbird Chris Albert's D&E Pizza. He's just insulting everybody in this case, and I'm here for it. You're wondering if your old boss, Meatball Morrissey, is having his annual summer barbecue at the Adams Inn in North Quincy, and if so, why your invitation has been lost in the mail. You're thinking about maybe catching up on your reading, starting with the novel Pop 1280 by by Jim Thompson about a crooked sheriff. That's what it's about. You open the book and you get goosebumps as you lip read this paragraph. I had it made, and it looked like I could go on having it made as long as I minded my own business and didn't arrest no one unless I just couldn't get out of it and just didn't amount to nothing. You throw the book down because that's your life story the guy is writing. You're Michael Proctor, and you knew the rules in North County. Never ever arrest anybody with any dough, especially if they come from Marina Bay. And don't lug nobody from Wellesley, Brookline, or Milton either, at least not unless they live close to the Dairy Freeze or the Mattapan line. I'm assuming that means like the poorer areas of those towns. Because it's obviously a money thing. He's saying don't arrest the rich. Go to the other towns where the rich don't stay. Damn it, you miscalculated that Karen Reed didn't amount to nothing. That's why you were measuring her for the frame. But it turned out Karen Reed had gone to college, and not one of them Trooper Paul GED community colleges like you and everybody else in the state police. He just insulted everybody's intelligence at the state police, which I'm here for. All right, so you're Michael Proctor, and no wonder you wanted Karen Reed to end herself. Her with her weird Fall River accent and no ass. And why did you ask the McAlberts for that bribe or gift? All the great trooper times you're missing this summer. You didn't get to go on the fun road trip with Sergeant Yuri to harass women in Walpole and Woburn. We played videos of them doing so, trying to admit that Carney was the one that made them reach out to Courtney, not Courtney, Elizabeth Proctor, Michael Proctor's wife, as he interrogated them in his broken English about the internet before heading back to Canton to put on some rubber gloves to dust those little rubber duckies for fingerprints that the McAlberts found outside D&D Pizza that said Colin did it stamped on the bottoms. Wow, he is throwing in every single detail, which is why this is a good article for a sum up, because if you missed anything, it's pretty much in here. So Sergeant Yuri Buchanan and another guy that we didn't see at the trial, they and went to two different women's homes, were knocking on the door, trying to get them to say that Turtle Boy influenced them to reach out. That the internet told them to do it, and that's what he kept asking. Where did you hear this? The internet? I'm sorry, that was a bad accent, but um, you know what I mean. All right, so where was I? Yeah, and then the rubber duckies. So if you're not aware of that, somebody left a rubber ducky that said Colin was in the or Colin did it. That stamped on the bottom of the rubber ducky, and they left it near D&E Pizza, I think on the sidewalk or something. And they sent squad, like legitimately sent squad cars to go and investigate where this rubber ducky came from. They did like look at video surveillance, and they actually did find a guy, and they conducted not one but two search warrants for finding these stupid rubber duckies. For what? It's not a crime to put a rubber ducky in front on a sidewalk. It's not a crime to leave your rubber duckies unattended. So what are they doing? These cops are out of control. All right, so Colin did it. Stamped on the bottom. All right, so no more inverting videos for Michael Proctor. No more searching Karen Reed's phone for nudes. Now you're watching Lizzie fix dinner, and you know it's going to be the same thing she's been dishing up for you every night: hot tongue and cold shoulder. I like how he writes. You're Michael Proctor, and maybe you should drive down to O'Reilly Auto Parts on Washington Street and buy some taillights. Then take the taillights into the garage and smash them into 45 or so pieces. At least then you'd feel like you were back doing something constructive again. You keep asking yourself, why do bad things keep happening to Proctors in Massachusetts? John Proctor hung as a witch in Salem in 1692. Captain William Proctor of the state police, outed for lying at the Sacco and Vanzetti trial in 1921. That's another big trial of corruption, which I might want to get into. I'm not sure if there are court documents out there. I'm sure they're available. I might want to read through those. That ended with the Italians' executions at the state prison in Charleston. This was a case of a cover-up, crime, uh, corruption from the police, and whatnot. So I don't know the full details of Sacco and Vanzetti, but it is a pretty famous trial, and it happened in Norfolk District also. All right, so you're Michael Proctor, and you're wondering when your people are finally going to catch a break in Massachusetts. You think back to all those other troopers he sent obscene text messages to, like David DeChico. That's the guy, David. And how he texted back to you, bleep her, bleep. It was F you, or F her, B, is what he said. And yet DeCicco is still getting paid. You look around for something else to read, and you find that Cadillac Frank Salemi, another former Norfolk County thug, told mob hangers on who didn't pay attention and then ended up in the glue. Don't pay off like you're some kind of abused hero. Sure, you got screwed. So has everybody. That's the life you chose. You want to be a golfer? That's the price you pay. That's your life, or that's the life, the proverbial street life. You're Michael Proctor, and you can't stop asking yourself the recurring question: who have I got to trade up to the Fed? Do you think he'll speak to the feds? Do you think anyone will turn and speak to the feds to save their own butts? At this point in time, I don't know why he hasn't done it sooner. So I don't think he's going to do it at this point if he hasn't already done it. But you never know. If the punishment is a little too steep for him to want to take on, he might take a deal. I don't know. So up next, I want to go through some interesting video. So this is, oh, I don't need to be big there. So this is a show. One of the people that I subscribe to, Brian, what's his name? Brian from LTL Media, or yeah, LTL Media is his channel name. He's on YouTube, and he is interviewing two of the wonderful ladies of Canton that are often very vocal in the Canton select board meetings, and they're here to speak about some of the corruption and some of the craziness going on in Canton. And so I'm going to play several clips of the interview, but short clips. So we'll get through it pretty quick. So here is the first clip where Jen, first of all, they're talking about the last select board meeting where Jen, the girl in the white shirt, the woman in the white shirt, Rita is in the blue, Jen and Brian obviously in the black. So Jen got grabbed at the last physical select board meeting. The last meeting was actually a Zoom. They put it as a Zoom because they didn't want to deal with the people. But the one before that, she got physically assaulted by a police officer there. And we're going to see video of that. So that's what this is. So
asking to see it, and I'll play two of them real quick.
It's really,
I remember Jen sent them
traumatic.
to me.
It really is. I mean, I look at it, and it's traumatic.
Let me do this. Let me just share my screen.
So maybe give a warning.
Yeah, it is traumatic.
It is a trigger warning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trigger warning here. We'll pull this up.
Ran over here while I was speaking out of turn. She just sat there screaming at the crowd, and the crowd screaming back at her, and you stayed here. No, I'm not. It is inappropriate. No, it's inappropriate. Uphold the law the way it's intended to be upheld. Good. I'm on.
look at how he's just hovering in her space. And the people, so they'll explain it, but there were people there, McAlberts, that were there that attended this meeting just to heckle. And they're not getting yelled at or told to behave or sit down or whatever. This cop, Jen went over. Like she went to go speak at the mic and she went over like 30 seconds. And for that, she gets assaulted by this cop. So
Upset because I feel unjustly. No, you're standing in front of me while everyone else does the same thing. Do you not see that?
You're disrupting the meeting.
You were
disrupting the meeting. It's not you.
I'm right, though. I may be disrupting the meeting, but I'm right with my fucking right to do so. Fucking Americans, people. Remember it.
One more.
No.
this is pretty much the same thing, but just from a different angle. You can really see how he grabs her. He grabs her arm and then he grabs her shirt and he's like pulling her towards him, and she's like stumbling, trying to catch her balance. So watch.
Remember it.
One more.
No, her time was up. She was yelling. They were yelling at, take your hands off me. I haven't broken any laws. I haven't broken any laws. No, you're picking it.
That's what we have for the clip.
Yeah.
Yet the people who were heckling aren't on camera and you can't see them. So it looks like Jen's the problem, but she wasn't. Jen and Rita were not the problem at this meeting, but yet they're the ones that are vilified.
So what the audience doesn't see is the heckling of the McAlbert friends and family in the audience. They didn't show up to speak at the mic. They showed up specifically to make a scene, to heckle all of us, to shut the meeting down. Yeah. And you know what? They were successful. Yeah. That select board allowed them to be successful because their failure to manage that room and that situation, and the failure of Chief Helena Rafferty of having that police officer in that room who had no clue. And he's from Canton. He lives in Norwood, but he grew up in Canton. So he's another townie. You know, and for him to go into that meeting and behave the way he did, he had no clue what he was doing. No clue.
Yeah. Were there issues like this before, the Karen Reed case? Did you notice things like this in Canton, or did it really get peeled back with this case? Did you see things that were going on before?
I did not.
This really opened your eyes to
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I mean, I was starting to pick up on a couple of things that I just
I truly thought that my imagination was getting the best of me. John Delgado and I have had multiple conversations. Like, he brought a few things to my attention. I was like, I thought I was the only one who was seeing that happen. So there's some stuff. I mean, and I've said this from the very beginning. They got brazen during COVID. When COVID shut down, the bad behavior that was happening in our town really ramped up. And if you were paying attention to what was going around you and not just stuck in your own little COVID bubble, like, you would have started noticing some patterns and some bad behaviors, and the same individuals always on the streets at the same time of the day. And so there's more coming down the pipeline. Ultimately, I'm not going to be the one exposing anything. I'm not a cop. I'm not the FBI. But Canton had some shady stuff happening far before Karen Reed got involved. So Karen Reed is a result of the shady stuff that was happening already, and they truly thought they were untouchable, and they thought they could get away with it. They just picked the wrong girl.
The case blew the lid off what was going on in town. We didn't know. My kids are 28 and 30, and they graduated in 2012 and 2014 from Canton. And I knew there was bullying in the school, and anytime there was bullying with my kids, I addressed it with the guidance counselor, and I got very effective service. So I was happy that my issues were addressed. But I think the climate in this country has changed in the last 8 years or so,
it has.
and bullying seemed to be okay. And I think that all of a sudden, and Jen, you could probably speak more to it than I can, but before when there was bullying and teachers could step in, now there's a different protocol where it's more hands-off, which is mind-blowing to me. Because they need direction, they need guidance, they're looking for boundaries. And, if the boundaries have changed and the teachers are hands-off, well, that's just going to make it worse. And, in terms of people like Colin Albert, his reputation precedes him. He is who he is, and he is his father's son, and he has terrorized people.
Well, like what they always say.
So Colin has been notorious in the Canton neighborhoods, even before the Karen Reed case, because of the little mischievous things that he would do. So I'm going to skip forward to 1507 here. Let's see. And just more talking about corruption and shady stuff going on. Or is this the balloons? I can't remember here.
Canton residents, they live in the town of Canton, and they are obviously Free Karen Reed supporters. And we're just talking about really the Canton politics that are going on. So tell me a little bit. You had this last select board meeting. You had the incident with the police officer there. You got removed or kicked out, and now they've gone to this virtual session. But after that meeting, you started to notice you left.
I was asked to leave, but I was not physically removed from the room.
So you weren't,
I was not charged of trespassing. I was not breaking any laws. Just so that's on the record. I left in a huff, and the whole mic drop was a complete accident. My sign hit it. I would not have assaulted.
As she was walking out, and she turned to walk out the door, and the signs that she was picking up, the last sign that she grabbed it, flipped the mic stand. It was great. It was because she was screaming it's America, people, and then mic drop. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
The microphone.
And I can attest, she left voluntarily.
I totally left voluntarily. I said, I'm leaving because I want to leave right now. That's you gotta have that ready to go.
That officer, Robert Whalen, retired Boston detective Robert Whalen, was creepy. He was very creepy. I was creeped out by what he was doing. He was in her space.
Yeah, of course.
She went over 15, 20 seconds on her speech. I mean, I speak, and I got cut off in the virtual meeting halfway through a sentence. Couldn't even finish my sentence. I mean, he let me finish my sentence, but I had to ask permission to finish my... That is so childlike. Putting on a 3-minute timer is childlike.
Yeah, the thing that's crazy about it is this is your opportunity to speak in your community, and you're literally being silenced. You're being censored. It's crazy.
They give them 3 minutes apiece, and they only get 15 minutes for open discussion, open forum. And it's not even a forum. It is the Canton resident goes to the mic, they speak, and then everybody listens, and then they go sit down. Nobody responds. Nobody answers questions from the board. You can sit there and literally tell them that you think they're effing idiots and blah, blah, just sit there and insult them, and they just sit there and take it. They try to shut them up. They try to shut people off. They try to, if anybody is not on their side or contesting anything that they do or say, they want to shut them up. And once they went virtual, Rita was speaking at the last virtual meeting, and the chairman was just like, okay, Rita, time's up. Can I finish my sentence? She was in the middle of a sentence. It was just so rude. These people are so rude in Canton, the select board.
crazy, you know. And this is why we say too is like I talk about this stuff and I tell people to get involved in their local elections and their local communities, because this is not only happening in Canton, this is happening in your town too.
Right.
And I want to also take the opportunity to remind people the whole reason public meeting is held is for the citizens to feel involved in what's happening in their governance. And the whole reason for public comment, while it does horribly keep getting squashed and squashed and squashed, but the whole purpose historically for public comment was so that we wouldn't have another revolution.
Right. Yeah.
That is the sole basis, so that the community felt heard, so they wouldn't be tempted to overthrow their government again.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I always find it funny too, because you know, literally the Revolutionary War.
So yeah, literally, this could be anywhere. These things could be happening in your town right now, and you just don't know. So it's really good to stay aware and keep an eye out on the government that you are under their control, because it's the people's responsibility to keep the government in check. All right, so next clip.
Massachusetts. And he was never supposed to be promoted after the 2007 settlement.
I don't remember. Okay, so they're talking about Michael Link here and how Michael Link was never supposed to be promoted because he got into some altercations with Chris Albert, basically to like defend Chris Albert's honor or something.
Of $300,000 by the town, $25,000 paid by the town, and $275 paid by the insurance company. But you know, our premiums went up. So let's just be factually correct, because we know the other side wants us to be.
There's your factually correct information.
The other side wants us to be factually correct.
There it is.
Oh my God.
We've settled the record now.
And so even though it's supposed to be sealed and nobody's supposed to know the content, certain people in the
That was not the clip that I wanted. It's 46. Sorry.
Are over the moon. We found an incredible person. Not going to identify who the person.
So they are filing a civil suit, is a federal civil suit with a civil rights attorney.
And we are over the moon. We found an incredible person. Not going to identify who the person is. Not going to identify who the person is. But we are very excited that we have a federal civil rights attorney that is going to make sure that our civil rights and anybody's civil rights in Canton who has been violated, and I know we have John Delgado out there, and I know we have Jeff Farrington, which I'm reaching out to, we are going to make sure that our civil rights are protected and that we have the appropriate leadership in our town, because we do not have leadership in our town. If we had leadership in the town of Canton, Jen and I wouldn't be sitting here right now. You know, we're sitting here a year later after Helena Rafferty said that she could look the O'Keeffes in the eye and tell them that there was no cover-up. And we begged a year ago. We said we need crisis intervention. Well, now it's okay. I know you didn't listen to us. We have a federal civil rights attorney. So we have someone who's going to protect us. And we are going to come out with a fundraising campaign next week. People have been reaching out to us. How can we help? Where can we donate? And we haven't had a chance to pull it together. We're pulling it together. And we're very proud. We're so proud. And we couldn't be more happy with who we found.
And the team that we have growing. Like growing. It's a evolving team. But I truly, like we were discussing it this morning, I couldn't be more proud to be amongst, in my opinion, some of the most elite, most caring, down-to-earth, and righteous women and passionate women that I could have ever met. And they're all, like, in town. They're all...
I want to point out, there's something good that came out of this, if you can't see that. I mean, John O'Keefe lost his life that night by the hands of some thugs. They turn around, try to cover it up, frame somebody else, and it would have gone totally unheard of if Karen Reed didn't have the funds and the means to defend herself. We wouldn't have known about this. It would have still been swept under the rug forever. But this case has, it's like an eye-opener to me, and it should be an eye-opener to everybody, that our government is still totally controlling us, and we need, I mean, I'm not for the conspiracy theories and whatnot, but I'm just saying we need to make sure that our government is under control and not abusing its power. In this case, it went so far above and beyond abuse of power that it's like human rights are being violated every day by the MSP and Norfolk DA's office. in this case, has the opportunity to unite and bring people together. It already has. Look at all the people that stand out for Karen Reed. And as they do, I mean, they've formed bonds and friendships in the area, people that are neighbors to them that they didn't even know because they never took the time of day to stop and say hello. And now, they're uniting people. People out there are making, solid bonds between one another because of some injustices that they've seen. And because they believe in justice, because they believe in the right side of the law, they are making history. They're standing up for what's right. And it is so powerful and impactful. And my God, my dog. Hold on one second. As I was saying, it's powerful, it's impactful, and I feel extremely patriotic and like I just want to help and I want to do more for this group of individuals and everybody, that's needing this help, this type of help. I want, it's one of those things that makes you feel good if you're a participant in it also. Anyways, so the next clip, this is about the water balloons and how, and we talked about this in another stream, and then how people are throwing water balloons on the lawns of Canton residents, including Rita and Jen O'Donnell and other individuals in Canton who believe in Karen Reed's innocence.
Wait.
So let's see. So this is your lawn, right?
Yeah, that's my lawn.
So
right.
tell us what's going on.
So
they can't. Yeah,
they can't see. Okay,
they can see the screen.
Right. So these are two areas in the front of my lawn, and you can see, especially in the middle picture, you can see the splatter.
Yeah.
You can see the splatter. And then here's another one right here, and so that's one.
That's like 20, 30 feet, right? That's the edge of your lawn.
Right. And then I think there's another one that goes like 50 feet. There it is right there.
This one here.
Yep. Look at
That's
that.
like a trail.
Look at that.
So they dribble it all up on the lawn.
Right. They came up on my property.
This is bad right
Right.
here. Wow.
Bad. Oh, it's on that side. It's on that side. And then there's at least 5 big spots like that. And then this one clearly showed. And here's the balloons. Right. And so this is where the balloons were. And look at that vape pen. Thank you. Thank you for the vape pen. We should have some good DNA. So
Yeah, right. Look at this.
The vape pen.
It probably says compliments of the food stamp 5 on it.
Yeah, no, I think it's somebody else. I did hear that somebody went to a college down in Bridgewater that was known for doing bleach balloons.
That's great.
Yes.
That would be Colin Albert, went to Bridgewater State.
So
Person.
yeah, it could be anybody, but somebody did say that there was somebody who went to Bridgewater, no one who goes there, that was known for bleach balloons. And so, but we don't expect any fingerprints on anything because you know how the Canton PD does investigations.
Yeah.
But this is what it was: the Target bag, the balloons were inside.
Target bag. Huh?
Yep, Target bag.
He said, let there be a receipt.
Right.
Yep.
Oh man, that'd be great, right?
Like your rewards
Right.
number
Oh,
on
my
it.
God.
Well, yeah, that or I said it's like leaving the freaking ID.
I didn't even think. The police said don't touch it, and we didn't touch it. I don't know why I didn't touch
What's
it.
this green thing?
A balloon.
balloon.
It's a balloon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and there's a couple
It's
other
a
balloons in
broken
there.
balloon.
Right. So the balloons broke in the bag, which is why they had the trash bag. And this is how emboldened they are. They just said, "Yeah, I've had enough," and they throw it under a bush, and leaving the trash there
There's the vape
because
pen
they
right
know that if the Canton PD found it, they were never going to.
What did it have a brand? What does it say on the vape pen?
I don't
Do you
know.
what it was?
I didn't know.
I'd
We
be
just,
curious to see.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably see if I looked on my phone.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just like, it was just like a joke.
He
So
did
everybody's
Darcy.
asking like where are your vape cams? Well, they have cams now.
Oh, here it
Yeah.
is. It's called Backwards.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder if
Backwards.
those are sold at local stores in Canton.
No, that's a good idea. That's a good question. It's called Backwards. And I'm supposed I could look it up. And then it says 3.3V, whatever the heck that is.
All right, whatever. So they're trying to figure out what kind of vape it was. All right, so next, I'm going to skip a little bit forward here.
Right. So
what is going on with the select board meetings now? Because now obviously they were turned into cowards last time with the whole thing that happened at the previous meeting before that, and then they went to this Zoom shit.
Yeah.
So when are we allowed to have the public back in there again? I mean,
I
this
think-
is your platform to go in and talk to your
Right.
representatives,
Right.
and they're
Yeah.
literally censoring you and not allowing you to
Right.
do that. So
Yeah.
what is the skinny on all that?
So I heard that the virtual meetings are through August, and then they may go
Sounds
back.
like COVID, like we're in COVID.
Right.
Aren't they executing a COVID rule
You've got
for
to be
it?
kidding me.
Executing
They're
a COVID
using
rule.
a
You've gotta be
COVID.
kidding
No,
me.
they're using a
You've gotta
COVID
be kidding me.
loophole
The ultimate
in order
government
to do
control.
this
We're gonna
right
throw
now.
down
Yeah.
COVID rule.
What
Yeah.
they did was they had the executive session at the town hall, and then they all kissed and said goodbye,
Yeah,
and went
they
to their home,
the
to
comfort
each
of
of
their home.
Right.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So, yeah, and then John Camo was outside Mike Lofgren's house in a
Dressed as
chicken
a chicken.
costume, and so to let him know that he felt he was a chicken.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really embarrassing. I don't know how they do
Yeah.
it and feel good about that. I really don't. Leaders have to do difficult things sometimes.
Yes.
And, the problems that we're having are because we do not have leadership in this town.
have no
we have
leadership.
none.
It's funny you say that too, because a while ago I was following the Brockton scandal at the Brockton High School because all the
I'm going to skip his little anecdote here.
And silence us. And that's what they did. And then the failure of that police officer to use excessive force on Jen, is a failure. And it's a leadership failure, straight across the board. Select board and the chief of police, leadership failure. And so what do? Instead of coming out and making it better, they hide behind the budget meeting. And we are paying, the town of Canton is paying for that security cop to be there. There's never been a security cop. We are not the ones that are dangerous. It's the other side, but they project and say that it's us. It is not us. And so that cop is
Tell
there
them to
for Chris
stand down.
Albert and Chris Albert only. And how much money is this town going to pay for Chris Albert?
Very good
He
question.
runs that town. He runs havoc in that town.
and he's
they
not
let
even
him.
living there anymore, right?
Who knows?
But so the thing
don't
is,
know.
the bylaws, I haven't looked it up because I'm sure that it doesn't say one must lay thy head 7 nights a week in the town of Canton, Massachusetts in order to be on the select board. It's going to say something along the lines of one must live there or show ownership. He's on the lease for where him and his wife are. So that's his loophole. Is it really worth fighting him for being at some tramp stop in friggin' Stoughton?
Right.
I don't care where he sleeps. I'm delighted that he's not breathing the same air as me at night. Go breathe in Stoughton. Sweet dreams, sweetheart.
He has gotten away with this behavior his entire life.
Right.
And his
It's a
son
disgrace.
is just a mini. And they have been allowed to wreak havoc in that town for far too long. And we've had enough. And, and the bleaching of my lawn, it's like, you know what? Thank you very much. Because between what was done to Jennifer and what has been done to Jennifer, we are keeping a rolling list of the violations of our rights. And it was horrifying. We started collecting it. And then when we looked at it, it was pretty horrifying. And we're up at 30 already, and there's more than that. And 11 of them were against Jennifer. And I don't even have all of them.
That's not even everything.
That's not even everything. And when you look at this, because week after week you see stuff and you hear stuff, but then when you put the pen to the paper and you see it, you go, wow. We really have a problem. Not that we didn't know we had a problem. We know we have a problem, but
it was always incident by incident. We never looked at all of it because we've been so busy, nonstop. I mean, we spent every single day of the trial on the sidewalk. So it's like we have been multitasking all of this, and we never fully looked at the Canton situation in the big picture. We just kept chipping away at it. It was just on the list to keep
Things
doing.
to chip away at.
Yeah, just to keep doing it, keep showing up, keep speaking, and keep a tally. But we never fully took the time to really appreciate what had been really happening for the past year. I mean, it was happening back in September, as early as September. Not bleaching, but retaliation was happening as early as September.
We've been balancing Karen Reed support and the town of Canton. Where other people are Karen Reed support. We've been doing Karen Reed in the town of Canton. And so the Karen Reed case exposed what we didn't know what was going on in Canton.
100%.
Had they done the right thing and dropped these charges way back when, they would have been able to get away with all the stuff that they've been getting away with. But the more they doubled down and tripled down, the more got exposed. And once it got exposed, you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
You can't put the rose-colored glasses back on. Nothing's ever going to look the same again.
Right. And if we're wrong, then, the civil rights attorney, the federal civil rights attorney, will find out. But we don't think we are. And that's why we are where we are. And we feel over the moon that we have help. And we have
sense
what
of
we
relief.
need.
It's good.
And, it's sad. And you said something earlier, and I just want to expand upon that. This does impact not just Canton. This impacts every community out there. Look in your towns. Look at your town. I've been in the private sector for 40 years, and I'm in my semi-retirement job now. And I love all my jobs. Every job I had was where I was supposed to be right at that time. And I never paid attention to government because government worked, and that was okay with me because I wasn't interested in government. But what's going on in Canton? Please open your eyes to what's going on in your own towns. Pay attention. You don't have to go to meetings. They're virtual. You can see them on your local stations. Pay attention. Show up.
If
ask
something doesn't
questions.
feel right, just ask a question. There's truly, contrary to the thugs in Canton, the normal is asking questions is to be accepted and expected. And it's your right.
And
you should be
And they should answer them too.
asking questions. If it doesn't feel right, just ask the questions.
And if people do not support your values, then don't vote for them. Vote for the person.
Pay attention when
forget
you're
about
voting.
parties. Vote
That's
for
the
the
thing too. Is I
person.
think people, and I'm glad you said
hung up
that.
on
Everybody
that.
just looks at DNR.
Right,
Fight for the
forget
person
it.
that's going to do the right thing in your community.
Yes.
And this is
Right.
what I always say too. Everybody gets so wrapped up on the national election. They worry about who's going to be president.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter.
It
It's the
starts
person
in
in
your
your community.
Yes.
I
And
say
I would like to
over and over
own
again.
it.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have never been political because I know, if there's a single soul that grew up with me, they're like, oh, Jen, who are you right now? You and your political little speech. I am.
Anyways, so I think you guys get the point. My hips are hurting. Sorry. So there's a lot of corruption happening here, and the town of Canton should be on notice that they're done. They're not taking it anymore. They are putting together a federal civil suit against the town of Canton, and I'm sure maybe even some individuals who might be violating individuals' rights in the town of Canton. So I look forward to hearing more about that and seeing how that develops. All right, so moving on to the final portion of this video. So Turtle Boy does his live show every Saturday night. Well, this weekend it was a Sunday. He saved the best for last, in my opinion. Not to say that Brandy Churchwell isn't great. He had her on. They did a great interview back and forth. They had a really good conversation regarding the Karen Reed trial. However, this last part is a little spicy and kind of fun, cheeky. I don't know what to make of it, but at 1 in the morning, Friday into Saturday morning, this past weekend, Paul O'Keefe drunk texts Turtle Boy or Facebook him or whatever. I think they're on Facebook, but they're messaging one another, and this is them, and he's going to go over them. So here you go.
How could I not? All right, so Paul O'Keefe messages me out of the blue, and I've said a lot of critical things about Paul O'Keefe, and stand by almost all of them. It's especially the general idea here that his interview with Christina Rex I was embarrassed for him. He showed the world, and I'm glad he did it because he kind of showed the world. Because a lot of people ask, why are the O'Keefes involved, and why are the O'Keefes okay with all this? Because they haven't put any thought into this. That's why at all. They literally have made up their mind based on nonsense. They have not looked at the facts, and it was embarrassing for him. And because this is his brother, you know what I mean? This is his brother. He should take a lot more concern into the allegations and evidence that Karen Reed has provided instead of just looking at it and immediately wanting to dismiss everything they said. He's not interested in the actual truth, right? So this is how it starts. Okay, so let's play this. So he starts off all aggressive. I'm taking you down. I hope you know that you're done. You're going to jail. Actually, prison time. I hope your kids are prepared. I so look forward to that. That's just demented.
That's what he texts Turtle Boy out of the blue, 1 a.m. Read that again.
So he starts off all aggressive. I'm taking you down. I hope you know that you're done. You're going to jail. Actually, prison time. I hope your kids are prepared. I so look forward to that. That's just demented to say. I'm so looking forward to your children not having a father. That makes him excited. Why me? I didn't kill nobody's saying I killed his fucking brother. Nobody's saying. If Paul O'Keefe believes that I was fooled by Karen Reed, okay, if that's what he believes, that I am a puppet of Karen Reed and Karen Reed's evil puppet master, at the very least, if he actually believes this, does he not have some sympathy for me? At the very least, does he not believe that this guy's a sucker? Kind of if Paul O'Keefe actually believes that, where was this hatred for me coming from? Oh yeah, he said mean things about it. Okay, I did. Don't go to fucking jail for that. You want your kids to fucking suffer because of that? And why is he thinking about me at 1:05 on a Friday night? That's when he sent this. What is he doing?
Right.
What did I do on Friday that was that bothersome? I mean, I wrote an article about, who did I write about on Friday? I wrote about Jill Daniels. Is this I can't say things about Jill Daniels? About Mary Albert being mad at how, what does he think of Howie Carr? Holy shit, So anyway, let's play some more. So I respond with drinking again, Paul. And then he responds with Adderall, Aiden. Okay. Oh, hold on. Where'd it go? Went too fast. So he goes, Adderall, Aiden. I go, you spelled it wrong. Both words, Adderall and Aiden, are both spelled wrong there. And he goes, I don't do drugs and I'm not a douche. So I'm okay with that. So it's first of all, if you're talking about the Adderall, it's bro, the Adderall, yes, I take, it's a prescription drug. I have a prescription for it. The doctor writes it for me once a month, and I go to Walgreens and I get them, and then I take them.
Yeah, some people need those drugs. They're required medically for your body to function better.
As prescribed every day. Lots of people do. Millions of people take prescription medication. That's an insult? I'm a drug addict because I take prescription drugs? Okay, I guess. I don't know. Yes, yeah. I have ADHD. Not really hiding it. Okay. And is that supposed to be an insult? I don't do drugs and I'm not a douche, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, well, Paul, you drove drunk in 2020 in Lakeville, right? He did do that. He drove drunk in Lakeville, and during the middle of a day, after coming home from a golf tournament, smashed into an elderly man, almost killed him. It was a horrific accident, going way too fast, and got arrested for a DUI. And who bailed him? Who paid for his bail? Karen Reed did. Karen Reed bailed his ass out of jail. So that's just a fact. And so I asked him, who bailed you out anyway when you almost killed that elderly man? And again, if I had sent Paul O'Keefe the same message he sent about me, saying, what do you say? I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to put you away. I'm taking you down. I would be locked up by now. That would be witness intimidation. That would 100%. He's a witness. He testified at the trial. He's a witness. and that would be witness intimidation. Well, I'm also a witness in several trials, not Canton retrial. I guess you could say I'm a potential witness in that, but I'm a witness in the Kate Peter trial, the case against Krusty Panties, right? So he's friends with Krusty Panties, and he's sending me a message saying that he's taking me down. I'm a witness against his friend, and he's telling me he's taking me down. Do I think
KP, if you're not aware, is somebody that has Turtle Boy has a restraining order against, so they're not supposed to come near him because she used to work with him and she's like obsessed with him. I don't want to get involved. I know nothing really about it. I just know there's a big feud between the two, and there's a restraining order against her.
that do I think Paul O'Keefe should be arrested for witness intimidation? No, I don't. And I don't think I should be either. That's the thing. Like, but according to the statute, we all should be. We're all guilty of witness intimidation. That's my larger point here, right? If the laws should be equally enforced across the Commonwealth, right? Like everyone should have the same, treatment by the police. And clearly, so should I report him for witness intimidation? Yeah, I guess by the letter of the law, I should. But you think Norfolk County DA's office is going to charge him with that? No, of course not, because that law only applies to me. I'm used to that. Okay, so he goes on. And he goes, I go, didn't you almost kill an elderly man while driving drunk? Who bailed you out anyway? And he says, not true. I called my brother. So he did call his brother. But his brother wasn't there. Or his brother was busy or doing some shit. So who did bail him out of jail? Canton Reed did. Or his brother didn't have money on him. So Canton Reed bailed him out of jail. That's a fact that Paul's not going to deny. That Canton Reed paid his bail money and was not repaid back. That's just a fact. Paul ain't going to deny that. So I go, please, just leave me and my family alone. Okay? That's all I want, Paul. Just leave me and my family alone. Because I'm like, I don't want to, him mentioning my kids was fucking, like, that weirded me out. I'm like, why are you mentioning my kids? Like,
this is so bizarre that they're even having this conversation at like 1 a.m. on a Friday into Saturday morning. And it's just very bizarre. But
fucking
anyway,
weird. Just leave my family
better.
alone, bro. And so then this is where it gets even weirder. So he sends me a screenshot. And look what it says. It's a screenshot of our conversation from his perspective. And he says, your ex-boyfriend. He sends that to me. Look at this message. So he sends me this screenshot. And then he goes, your ex-boyfriend. Do you guys see what happened here? Do you see what he did? Do you get what happened here?
I do.
Because I realized it right away. He didn't mean to send that to me. He's drunk. He meant to send that to someone else. Your ex-boyfriend. Who could he have been? Who did he mean to send that to? Your ex-boyfriend. Who do you mean to send that to? I have a couple ideas. 2 in particular. I'm not going to even say their names because I'm not going to make them part of the show. But I have a couple ideas of who he possibly could have sent there. Perhaps it's someone whose cell phone data extraction I have, in which, I don't know, one person, nicknamed Krusty Panties, messaged another person and said, Paul O'Keefe wants to talk to you. And the other person responds and says, who has never met Paul O'Keefe before, has no relation to him, and says, Paul O'Keefe wants to talk to me? Exclamation point, all caps, as if they're so honored to talk to Paul O'Keefe. Maybe he meant to send it to someone like that. Maybe that's what he meant to send that to, because it makes no sense for him to send me a text message like that and say your ex-boyfriend, because I'm not my ex-boyfriend. I did not date myself. Okay.
Right.
So that's interesting. And then I'm like, what? And then he sends me a winking emoji and then a laughing out loud emoji. Okay. What comes next? And I'm like, ex-boyfriend. And then I get that emoji. And then I go, what you doing? I'm like, let's see where this goes. What you doing? And he says, great journalism, bro. I go, thank you so much. We're going to hold the McAlberts responsible for what they did to your brother. And then he does this thing about, do you think your cellmate will be attracted to you? Well, first of all, Paul, if you know anything, they stuck my ass in medical. I didn't have a cellmate. And second of all, it's a little bit homophobic that's your first go-to is like, what, prison rape is funny, I guess, to Paul. Okay, like this is just a joke to him. Again, I'm always sending me this shit.
It is. It's absolutely a joke to them to just put people away, put charges on people, make charges stick on people that are totally misrepresented or inflated. And it's very, it's crazy. Sorry. Dog, sit down. He keeps walking. Thank you. He wants his lunch.
And thinking about me, and I go, why would I have a cellmate? I haven't committed any crimes, Paul. And he goes, only 19. So he's like, kind of harassing me here a little bit. You have 19 felonies.
Why is this so funny to these people? Putting people away, trying to get people put in prison. Why is that so funny? I guess it's hilarious to take a man away from his children to these people. I have no idea why.
Oh, this is funny. The government that works for me is doing this to you. And I go, why are you suddenly messaging me, Paul? We spoke before on John's account and you blocked me. Okay, you blocked me. And he goes, I'm just reminding you of where you're going. So he's harassing me. He's causing emotional harm. Like this idea that I'm going to be prison raped, that's the thought of that causes emotional harm. And I'm a witness in a case. I'm certainly somebody that is known to attend court proceedings. So the statute covers me. And maybe, just maybe, I perceive this as, I don't know, Paul O'Keefe, the reason that he's messaging me and telling me this is that he knows I'm a witness in a case against his close friend, Kate Peter, who he talks to all the time and is the official self-proclaimed spokesperson for his family. And perhaps he's messaging me because he knows I'm a witness against his friend Kate Peter and he doesn't want me to testify against her. Maybe that's how I interpret this. Because that's how the McAlberts all testified that they interpreted my actions, as they claim that I did that because I'm a witness against them and I was trying to prevent them from testifying. That's how I got indicted. That's how I was charged with witness intimidation, because they had to say that in order for me to be indicted. So maybe I feel the same way. I don't know. And he goes, you didn't already know? I go, Paul, I don't appreciate what you said about my children before. I'm just trying to do my job. I wish you nothing but the best. I never mentioned your kids ever. Nice try, bud. Best of luck to you, though. And I'm like, hello? You never mentioned my kids? He never mentioned my kids. Like, bro, he goes, I hope your kids are prepared. So it seems like he did. It seems like he did mention my kids. Yeah. Okay. And I go, so you mentioned them right there. That's not really necessary. Then he goes, my apologies, Eden. You've been so good to my family. I should show you the same respect. Okay. So it's like, well,
sarcasm,
Paul, like, so he's basically saying here, I am doing this because I'm mad about the things that you said on your show about my family. That's why I'm doing this, is because I'm mad at you. Like that's his motivation of doing this, is because I should be allowed to say horrific things about your children and bring them into this because you said things about my family that I don't like. I've also been, by the way, pointing out that the reason that I have 19 felonies is because I've advocated so hard for his brother. Like that's what this is all about.
No kidding. Like Turtle Boy is doing more for John O'Keefe and the investigation into John O'Keefe's loss of life than Paul O'Keefe ever could. Turtle Boy is trying to get to the truth and trying to get to the bottom of it. And yet Paul O'Keefe doesn't want to see that. He doesn't want to see his friends in a bad light. But they're not friends. They're definitely not friends.
This is about Cameron Reed, but more so it's about John O'Keefe. Because John O'Keefe was murdered by the McAlberts. I'm 100% positive of that. I know that. And then it was covered up. And that outrages me, man. Cameron Reed is just a side product. Cameron Reed is the person who had, if it wasn't the McAlberts, they had to blame it on someone, so they blamed it on her. She's just an interchangeable part in all of this. This is about John O'Keefe. And I'm facing all these felonies is because I advocated for Paul O'Keefe's brother. So for Paul O'Keefe to say that I've treated his family bad is wrong. I have literally the reason he's rubbing these 19 felonies in my face because I stood up for his brother. They failed his brother. And I am sorry that for Paul, that like, it seems like, that happened. So anyway, he goes, my mother says hello, by the way. Like, is that supposed to intimidate me? And I go, I hope Josh Levy delivers justice for John. You're both in my prayers. And then he goes, you as well, my friend. And I give him the heart emoji. And I go, thanks, much love, bro. And he goes, glad we are friends. Okay. And I go, I didn't know we ever stopped. Now that we're friends, like, what are your Labor Day plans? We're doing some standouts. We would be honored for you guys to join us for justice for JJ for some standouts. And he goes, I couldn't think of a better way to waste my time. So I guess he doesn't want justice for JJ. Thanks for the heads up. Then he says, we should hang out soon, which kind of sounds a little threatening. Like, we should hang out soon, huh? Okay. Let's see where it goes from there. And I said, when I go, about this, I'm taking you down. I hope you know that you're done. And I go, I'm confused what you mean by this. Taking me where? Where are you? You're taking me down? And then he goes, I would love to spend some time with you. And that sounds a little bit threatening. Like, why would he love to spend time with me and do what? Take me down? What does that mean? Take me down. He goes, we should hang out soon. Agreed. He goes, I had a change of heart. You sound very genuine. We could be best buds. Might be a little sarcasm there. And I go, you being serious? And he goes, 100 emoji. So that's pretty serious, the 100 emoji thing. And then it goes to this. I said, would you and Erin like to double with Meredith and I? We'll drive, because we don't want Paul driving. Okay, we'll drive. So I'm like, you want to go on a double date? And then he goes, and I can't believe this is happening in real life. Like, I'm at the freaking shipwrecked having this conversation with him.
He's not.
And I'm like, would you and Erin like to, we'll drive. And then he goes, perfect. Did we just become best friends? And I sent him the Step Brothers thing. He goes,
this is never going to happen, but it's hilarious. And Paul knows the world is watching. So I don't know why he chose to have this drunken, crazy text war with Turtle Boy. It's bizarre. It's like his messages are nice, but obviously sarcastic. It's very weird. Very weird. And at 1 a.m, obviously drunk texting.
Exactly. So let's clarify something, though, because I'm a little bit confused here. It's some mixed signals I want to get through. So I'm a little bit confused by the mixed signals. We're boys now, but you said you're going to take me down. Down where? And what should my children be prepared for? Because you said that my children should be prepared. Okay. And I'm just trying to clarify what you mean by that. Or did we officially bury the hatchet? Where do we stand here? And he said, I believe I said I had a change of heart. My apologies if I came off aggressive. I will try to control that and be better. Now, Paul could be being sarcastic about this. I don't know. But I just wanted,
Is that genuine or not? I have no idea.
Because I'm curious, like, why would you, we still haven't talked about that. Where do we stand? And I said, so here's the deal. I can't drink and drive because of probation. You can't drink and drive because obvious reasons. So Grant Smith Ellis has offered to chauffeur us on our double date. Now, picture this actually happened. Me and Meredith and him and Aaron going on a double date, chauffeured by Grant Smith Ellis, right? I think we should tip him at least $100 though, because Towel needs the money, right? And so Meredith has offered to cover it. But if you guys could chip in on the Grant Smith Ellis, chauffeur tip, that would be a good gesture, I think. Okay. And let's see what he says. And this did actually happen. I can't believe this conversation with Paul O'Keefe happened, where we agreed to go on a double date, which Grant Smith Ellis would chauffeur. Then he goes, let's split it 50-50. I go, great.
Grant Smith Ellis claims to be a reporter. He's really not. He likes to take the opposite side of what the popular opinion is and run with it. And he assaulted Jessica Machado from Fall River Reporter on the courthouse steps. He's very disruptive, loud, obnoxious. He's not really a reporter. He tweets a lot of lies about Aiden and Karen Reed and whatnot, but it's just funny because there's this whole war between this whole group, and now Paul O'Keefe and Aiden are going on double dates with their wives or girlfriends, and now this Grant Smith Ellis is going to be doing the driving for them.
Tell Grant, and Grant doesn't know I did this on his behalf, but I did. And I think Towel would agree that this would be fair. He goes, great, I'll tell Grant where you guys want to go. And he goes, let's go to Granite Links. Great sunsets there. So the Granite Links, I think he's like the golf course in Quincy. I go, that sounds great. However, cards on the table. I know we're boys and all, but we don't swing. What's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. Capiche? Because I don't want Paul to think that it's like that's an unequal trade. No offense. I mean, Meredith is obviously, like, he's getting more out of that. Much better deal than I am out of that. No offense to Aaron. But I'm like, what's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. Capiche? Okay, because I know these Canton people, you guys are into that shit. A little weird, okay? I'm not into that. Not happy.
It's rumored that individuals in that group might be swingers, including the McAlberts. So maybe even Paul and his wife, but we find out now here.
Okay? This is just, what's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine, okay? And Grant gets nothing. Grant goes home to the towel, okay? That's the deal. And he goes, same here. That sounded weird to me, but I was going along with that because we were bonding. We are not swingers at all few. Okay. Then he goes, do you golf at all? I go, only when I'm tossing a few back. He says, I'll bring some high noons, of course, and make a day of it. I will give you 5 strokes total, $100 a man. I'm not a good golfer. He's going to need to give me a little more than that, than a 5 handicap. Because Paul seems like the kind of guy that golfs a lot, likes to pound. Like, that seems like Paul likes, like, they all like doing that shit. These guys live to go on to for charity golf tournaments and get drunk during the day and just get away from their wives. Like, that's what they fucking live for, is putting on some, Docker shorts and, a polo, and just going out with the boys, tossing a few back, hitting the links at a charity golf tournament. They love that shit, these people, right? And I go, do you golf? And so he goes, I'll give you 5 strokes, $100 a man. So Paul I'd need more than 5 strokes. I bet you Paul probably has like a 7 or 8 handicap. I'm going to need a little more than that. I'm going to need I get at least 10 mulligans, or we play best ball. Then I go, let's make it interesting. If I win, you donate $500 to the Turtle Boy or Karen Reed Legal Defense Fund, whichever one of us you like more. If you win, I will buy $500 worth of D&E charity pizzas to donate to the charity of your choice. It's like, he goes, deal. So he admits that D&E is a charity pizza shop.
And this has been going on in the Twitterverse with some of the trolls saying, trying to promote D&E, which is Chris Albert's pizza place, trying to promote them as, whoever is in need, everybody donate pizzas and stuff because, well, we think it's because the business is slow. So they're trying to drum up more business by seeking out charity.
Which is that was gold. Like, that D&E is a charity. Because I don't know if you noticed this. All these people were supporting John O'Keefe, these support groups for John O'Keefe. They've turned into a support group for D&E Pizza. Like, that's what it's turned into. It's like, nobody's talking about like justice for John O'Keefe. They're talking about how can we keep Chris Albert's business afloat. And that's the new thing they're doing. They're buying these shitty French fries and pizza and just paying for it. And they're like, give it to the homeless. But they never ever show any pictures of any of these pizza going to homeless people or like the elderly or anything like that. I think they're just buying pizzas and then throwing them away, or Chris Albert eats.
probably not even buying the pizzas. They're just taking the money.
I don't know, something like that. Or Jim Farris eats them. And he goes, deal. See, we can do better than we've been doing. We are both assholes, but we have big hearts. And then he goes, I would donate to you, by the way. I think I like you more. He likes me more than Karen. See, I'm telling you, he kind of, which is weird, right? He wants me in jail. I go, my legal fees, and this is where it gets really interesting. I go, my legal fees definitely went up as a result of the February 26th hearing. Because if you recall, according to the fake victim, she was invited there by Paul O'Keefe, okay, on February 26th. All right. And that's kind of, and I go, that's, if we're boys, you can't be doing shit like that. That's uncalled for. Uncalled for him to do something like that. Just my opinion. I'm just saying. Seems kind of uncalled for. So I go, I have these legal fees largely because of this individual who just made some shit up. And then you invited that individual to court with you in order to kick me out of court. That's messed up, Paul. If we're boys, bitches be crazy. And I go, right here. Did you really invite her? And what was his response? I didn't. So what's he saying here? Well, let's play the tape. I'm like, so I sent him this tape. I'm like, you didn't invite her there? But she testified that you did. I'm like, I could have sworn that she testified under oath that the reason she was at court was because Paul O'Keefe invited her. And so, hold on. So I sent him this tape, edit, rotate left, edit, rotate right. How do I fucking get this? Edit, undo, edit, undo, edit, undo. Okay. Edit video that I sent to him. So I sent him this video.
Lay down.
Okay. How can I rotate left? Does that do it? Rotate right. Rotate right again. Oh, nope. Now it's upside down. Edit video. But now with respect is the video I sent to him, because remember, he said I didn't. Well,
oh, come on.
Let's play the tape.
Here we go. Sorry.
Now, with respect to February 26th, who invited you to go to the Karen Reed hearing?
The family of this deceased officer.
The whole family, or was it a specific person? Who? Paul O'Keefe. How do you know Paul O'Keefe?
I have met many of the witnesses in the case against Mr. Carney.
So you heard the testimony there under.
She said Paul O'Keefe invited her to that February hearing for Karen Reed, basically just to get Turtle Boy kicked out of the courtroom. But he says he didn't.
Oath is that she was invited there by Paul O'Keefe. Okay. So that I send that to Paul and I'm like, what's up with that? And I specifically asked him, I said, I specifically asked him, I go, did you invite her? He says, I didn't. Okay. So now Paul O'Keefe is denying this, saying this is a lie. And I sent him tape, well, it says right here. She says, you did, brother. And he says there was a miscommunication there, I believe. So that's what he's calling it. Also known as a lie. Like, how is that? Either you invited her there or you didn't, Paul. And I go, this changes everything, Paul. And I says, she said you invited her, which is why I had a problem with you. That was my big problem with Paul O'Keefe, is that he invited her, according to fake victim here, that he invited her on that day. And I go, now that you've confirmed that she lied under oath, we can be bros again. So we're good. We're good. And then he's like, oh, actually, I think it was more of a miscommunication. Mm-hmm. She didn't lie, but because he realized he's backed himself into a corner now, and he's kind of admitted that he didn't invite her, which means that's untrue. And he's like, actually, I'm going to make some excuses for her. I go, so you didn't invite her because she testified under oath that you did. Well, she thought I did. She thought I did. What? Why is he putting words in her mouth? She didn't say that she thought he did. She said that he did. He goes, why did she think that? Not sure, to be honest with you. I was happy to have any and all support that we could get then, even from a complete stranger who the only reason he had any interest in her was because of me. Okay. Interesting. And then I said, thank you for clarifying that you didn't do that. Double date back on. Shemara's much hotter. I think we can both agree. Okay. And then he said, thanks for attacking me outside of court that day too. I didn't attack anyone. I just asked him why he was trivializing, fake domestic abuse. Like that seemed like a serious issue, and why he would make a mockery of his brother's death by doing that. And I go, I wasn't trying to attack you. Being around my abuser who was trying to set me up to go back to jail was traumatizing. If you honestly had nothing to do with that stunt, I apologize. Apology accepted. So he's saying he had nothing to do with that. He didn't invite her. Are you going to apologize for attacking me and saying I'm a disgrace to my brother, who is also my best friend? So now it's getting kind of sad, and I feel for him. And it's like, now I get the motivation here. He watches the show, and he listens to the things I say, and it upsets him. It definitely upsets him that I've criticized him, but I stand by that. And I kind of end it by saying, yeah, I know you love John. Please understand that as hard as this is to understand, we all want justice for John. We just truly believe that Karen is not the one who killed him. I'm very passionate about what I do, and not all of my supporters agree with my tactics. Meredith is always telling me to be nicer to you. I think we both ultimately want the same thing, justice. Okay, because that's one thing. It's like I'm so sick of being told that like he doesn't actually believe in it. It's like I want to make it clear, bro. I believe Karen Reed's innocent 1,000%. That doesn't even mean I like her. That doesn't mean we're friends. And it certainly doesn't mean I'm being paid by her. I'm doing this because I believe this shit, motherfucker. I would fucking bet my life on it. Like, that's how confident I am, motherfucker. And the evidence, I mean, the reason people are believing me is because I bring receipts and they're not stupid. Like they are completely following the evidence just like I am. And then he goes, I respectfully disagree with you. Karen did do this. I understand your appreciation. I understand your position and appreciate your passion. I wish you were on my side, though. That kind of says a lot. He wishes that I was on his side. So why is that? Maybe because I have a large platform and that would be helpful to him. I don't know. I don't know, but I can't be on his side because the facts aren't on his side and the evidence isn't on his side. So I can't do it, So again.
So that was the conversation starting at 1 a.m. between Turtle Boy and Paul O'Keefe, the brother of John O'Keefe. And bizarre, right? I mean, it almost, there were times where it was like really snarky, sarcastic, but then other times where it like got real. It's really weird. It's like a combination of razzing your almost enemy or nemesis, whatever you want to call them, but also at the same time, like reaching out and being nice to them in a way. And I don't know, it's just really bizarre. Or it could be a trap. And he really wants to get Turtle Boy somewhere so he can trap him and beat him up because that seems to be the McAlbert way. But I don't think that that's necessarily the truth. I do think that maybe Paul was drinking and was, had some things on his mind. I really do think that Paul is incredibly hurt by things that Turtle Boy may have said about him because I do think that Paul was a fan of Turtle Boy's beforehand. So the fact that now Turtle Boy criticizes him and his family, I think it really gets to him because he would rather, like he said, he would rather have Turtle Boy on his side. It's just never going to happen because the evidence and the facts are on Karen's side. And um, it's so hard because these victims are told one thing from the DA's office and the law enforcement who investigated, but that could be something that's totally far from the truth. And as we know, there was a lot of lying and deception going on in this case. So from day one, I'm sure the DA and law enforcement were saying certain things to Paul that really got him believing that Karen did it. And since then, he just hasn't changed his mind, even though we all sat through this 8, 9 week trial of lollygagging his torturous drone that we had to listen to for weeks. And we all heard the evidence, and it all points very much to John was in that house. Something happened in that house. Karen did not go in that house, and Karen was home by 12:36 while John was still taking steps after that point or close to that point. So there's no way that she could have dropped him off and made it home in time. It was like a 6 to 7 minute drive or something. So it just doesn't line up. The evidence doesn't line up. Yet the Commonwealth refuses to accept what the evidence is clearly saying. So it's just getting to the point where it's like, are we living in crazy town? The Commonwealth won't even listen to a juror who has reached out to them multiple times to tell them, hey, we actually did have a verdict. It was just a partial verdict. And we all want to tell you about it. So corruption runs deep. It's from the top. It's definitely throughout the judicial system, all the way from the judges down. And who knows, maybe more people are involved, but it just doesn't seem right. And the whole weight, the whole force of the state is on one person. Any one person, Karen Reed or defendant Doe, who doesn't have the money and is sitting in a prison cell right now because Michael Proctor planted some other evidence somewhere and was looking for their nudes in another investigation somewhere. It's ridiculous that he's still even considered any kind of MSP anything, even though he's suspended without pay. He should be axed. They should all be axed, in my opinion. And there should be criminal charges in certain cases, in my opinion. Who would you like to see criminal charges against in this case? Let me know in the comments below. I thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit the like button on your way out. Thanks again. Take care. Bye now. If you've been impacted by a true crime and would like your story told in your own words, or if you or someone you know has been wrongfully convicted or accused of a crime, please write to crimeincourtchannel@gmail.com and tell us your real true crime encounters. Thanks for watching.